Good evening, everyone. The time in UK is 8 p.m. We are conducting meditation up to 3 times a day at this forum for the benefit of world peace and harmony at UK times 8:45 a.m., 10 a.m., and 8 p.m. Thank you for joining us. Those who join from other countries, please make note of their local time in accordance with their time zone. Today, the events are taking place at this forum for the 1624th day. We are grateful for PSSM Tamil Europe, PSM Global India for their sponsorship as well as motivation and support rendered to us. To begin with, brief introduction to meditation will be explained, followed by steps to perform it. And meditation will take place for 30 minutes. Thereafter, the main event for the evening is from a guest speaker, Sabesan Anadavijayan, who is going to deliver a talk on RNA fundamentals and therapeutics, as well as gene regulation of inflammatory response. Thereafter, a Tamil translation will be provided by Mr. Kumar Sanipullam Master. We will have time for discussions and to conclude at around 9:30 p.m., followed by information on the forthcoming event between, it's about a residential advanced meditation retreat in Glastonbury. I'll provide the details later on. Let there be peace, unity, health, and prosperity throughout the world. Let the benefit from our meditation as a group magnify and spread across the world. Now, tonight's meditation will be facilitated by Anadavijayan-UK Master from Canada.
Thank you, Dr. Jagannathan Master. Greetings to all. Today, the Friday, 24th of October, 2025. Brief introduction to meditation. Meditation offers a multitude of benefits for both physical and mental well-being, including stress reduction, improved focus, enhanced emotional health, and better sleep. It can also strengthen the immune system, build mental resilience, and potentially reduce pain. Meditation connects our body, mind, and soul. We are blessed to do this meditation. Now, steps to perform meditation. Drink warm water before and after meditation to prevent dryness of the throat. Sit in a comfortable position. Keep your body relaxed, head upright, and spine straight. If you are wearing spectacles, please do remove them. Clasp your fingers like this and place them on your laps. Keep your feet crossed like this. Slowly close your eyes with a gentle smile. By doing all the above steps, we will save 100% of the universal energy. Focus and observe your natural breathing. Breath is our guru. You may get thoughts during meditation. Come back again and again. Focus on your natural breathing. Gradually, our thoughts will lessen. Now, a melodious music will be played. We'll do meditation for 25 minutes. Please don't open your eyes until an announcement is made. Music, please. Masters, Last 5 seconds. Please come back to your normal awareness. Unclasp your fingers and gently place them on your eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now open your eyes and we'll applaud by clapping our hands for 30 seconds. We would like to show our gratitude to all the masters who joined us today. Now over to Dr. Jagannathan Master. Thank you.
Thank you, Anandi Master. Now let us thank Anandi Baladasan Master for her guided meditation, as well as Siva Mohan Master for providing the music and posters. Furthermore, our gratitude extends to our parents as well as well-wishers for their respective contribution behind our birth, upbringing, and achievements. Also, our gratitude to the universe that provides the basis for each and every life within it. More importantly, the sun rises each day to beat the darkness, giving light for the survival of all life on earth. Events at this forum provide means to overcome our ignorance of darkness and light up wisdom. We are grateful for Masters Mr. and Mrs. Riskandaraja, who have inaugurated this forum and are working tirelessly for its successful running. Let there be peace, unity, health, and throughout the world. Now we are going to the main event for the evening. We have got with us Mr. Sabesan Anadavijayan. I'll give a brief description. He is pursuing his PhD studies at the University of Nottingham School of Pharmacy, post-transcription regulation of inflammatory responses. His focus is on control and modulation of genetic components associated with immune responses. This is known to be as a dysfunctional feature encountered with rheumatoid arthritis, irritable bowel syndrome, as well as inflammatory bowel disease such as Crohn's disease. He has given the topic as RNA, fundamentals and therapeutics, as well as genetic regulation of inflammatory responses. I call upon Mr. Sabesan Anadavijayan on behalf of this forum to kindly deliver his talk. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Good evening and good afternoon wherever you are in the world. Let me bear with me 1 minute while I get my slide up.
The share screen, green button, isn't it?
Yeah. Can you all see my screen? Can you?
Yes. Yes.
And now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we okay to start then? Okay, right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sabesan Anadavijayan. I'm a PhD student at the University of Nottingham in the United Kingdom. And my PhD project is called the post-transcriptional regulation of inflammatory response, which is a lot to take in. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the key player in my project, and something that's been in a lot of the news in the last 5 years, which is RNA, and it's now becoming a more and more heard of molecule, but there's a lot that people don't know, and I would like to educate people about. So my topic title for this evening is RNA Fundamentals and Therapeutics. So let's start with the fundamentals of what RNA is. But let's first answer the question, what is DNA? So we all have heard of DNA. It is deoxyribonucleic acid. It is what we call a double-stranded molecule. So in everyone, it forms like a sort of coil, and it's in every cell. It's in every one human being. It is the biological code to life. And in the biological code to life, in the same way that computer code is written in binary with ones and zeros, DNA, and therefore life, is coded by 4 letters mainly: A, C, G, and T. And they have longer scientific names, but we don't need to go into that just now. But DNA was first discovered by James Watson and Francis Crick in 1953 at the University of Cambridge. And from then onwards, the research into DNA has only increased 100-fold over the years. It's now become a leading topic, and it's very interesting how unique DNA can be, and the ways that it is controlled in the human body is also a marvel to behold. And in humans alone, there are 25,000 genes. So these 4 letters code for 25,000, at least 25,000 genes. And in other species, much, much more. And you can see that the image on the bottom left, is the first ever image of DNA from the 1950s. And compare that to the diagram on the right, which is the much more modern model for DNA. So I mentioned the word gene. So what is a gene? A gene is a specific segment of DNA that contains the instructions to make a functional product, which is usually a protein or a functional RNA molecule. Now, it's the second time I made RNA, but if you look down below, that is something what we call a karyosome. It is all the chromosomes in your body, and I'll explain what a chromosome is in a second. But what is contained in those 23 bundles of DNA, it encodes everything that makes what you are. So if I have an analogy, so the genome, or all your chromosomes, is like a library. And your specific chromosome is like a book. It's like a bundle of DNA, and they have their own specific genes, and each chromosome comes in pairs, and they contain everything, all the information necessary to make you up. And they're organized into 23 different books or chromosomes. And women and men have one different. You might have heard of X chromosomes and Y chromosomes. So women have 2 X chromosomes, whereas men have 1 X chromosome and one Y chromosome. And that's to do with its own structure and its own thing. And in these chromosomes, in these books, are the recipes to make people. So if the genome is a library, the chromosome is a book, and a gene is a recipe to make a protein or to make some other sort of thing that makes what you. And examples of genes can include eye color, if you can roll your tongue, and also genetic diseases such as sickle cell anemia. And there's much more. It's more complicated than one gene is turned on and one gene is turned off, but that is simply put, that's what these genes can code. They code for everything, and these will also can be inherited down families, but they can also arise due to environmental factors such as diet and stress and alcohol, and even there have been now studies linking trauma and past generational health with the impact on future generations. So what your ancestors might have had for dinner could affect what you are now. So I'll just explain what DNA is. What is RNA? RNA is very similar to DNA, but it's not double-stranded. It comes in a multitude of different shapes and sizes. And the shape and size of that RNA will affect its function. And that also, like DNA, comes in 4 letters, but instead of A, C, G, and T, it's A, C, G, and U. And the RNA and DNA, the main difference between them as well, is that DNA is more stable in the body. It lasts longer, but there is millions more RNA in your body than there is DNA. I hope everyone's following along. I know this is a lot to explain and take in. So let me give you examples of RNA in biology. So one of the key tenets or dogmas or philosophies in my PhD and in biology overall is that your DNA is transcribed or copied into RNA, which is then translated by these machines in your body into proteins, which then make up you. So the main RNA involved is something called messenger RNA, which carries the genetic information from DNA to the protein factories known as ribosomes. And if you think of it sort of like if you had a recipe to make like curry or anything, like to make a cake, you would go, if you wanted to know how to make a certain cake, you would go to a library, which would be the DNA, and then you would copy it. From the library, maybe you'll make a photocopy or maybe you'll write it down, and that'll be the messenger RNA. And then you'll take it home and you'll make it in the kitchen, which is your protein factory or the ribosomes. And each 3 letters that I mentioned of A, C, G, and U, they make one amino acid, which you might have heard of in diets and stuff like omega-3. And they are the building blocks of protein. So proteins are made of hundreds of amino acids, and thousands of proteins make up different parts of the body and the cells. But messenger RNA cannot go back. You can't go back to the library and change the information in the library. They won't allow you to do that. And the same is true with mRNA. mRNA cannot change the DNA, but mRNA can be changed or altered slightly. So one example of RNA in biology is something called retroviruses. And what retroviruses are the viruses made up of RNA. So you've all heard of HIV, and I'm sure you've all heard of COVID-19. And these are known as retroviruses, and they can stay hidden in the cells of your body, in the little bits of your body that make you who you are, the little parts of your body, for a long time. And they have multiple ways of spreading and using their RNA to infect people. So on the right is overall structure of a coronavirus, which is again a common retrovirus. So I just said, so how can retroviruses use their RNA to infect you? So when we're talking about HIV first, HIV can inject their RNA into the cells that make you. And then that viral RNA, they have special proteins that can turn that RNA into DNA. And then that DNA can be inserted back into your own DNA as part of making who you are. And then your own body will take that virus's DNA and make more of it. So it's now infected your genome. That's why HIV is so hard to cure, because it's like trying to fight with yourself. Your body can't tell who's enemy and who's friend and who's foe. And that's generally how viruses tend to work. But with COVID, what we tend to see is that COVID has a bunch of spikes on the virus, and they can attach to cells, and then they can enter and release its RNA into the cell. And then that RNA is then translated, like I mentioned earlier, to make new virus proteins, which can then be replicated to make new RNA copies. And then that makes more and more of these viral particles that we call, and therefore more and more viruses. And then they're released to infect other cells, which then you can spread along. And that's how COVID became so infectious. It's so easy for it to infect someone and do this method. So so by understanding how RNA works, we can understand how viruses work, and we can work on treatment, and it will now be the future of probably medicines in the next few decades, I think. I'm very confident on that. So again, like I said, through understanding how RNA and mRNAs work, we can understand how we can use them as medicine. So if any of you have had the COVID vaccine, have all of you had the COVID vaccine? Can see some.
Yes, most of us have had it.
Yeah, and who was your vaccine? Who do you know if it was Pfizer or Moderna or AstraZeneca or anything like that?
AstraZeneca. Mine is
okay.
AstraZeneca.
Okay, yours is AstraZeneca. Yeah, so AstraZeneca and Pfizer, they came up with a novel way of using mRNA, like I mentioned earlier, to teach your body cells to make specific proteins. And that's how the COVID vaccine worked. So what they will do is in the lab, they'll make like a fake version of the COVID mRNA that makes if you can see, can I get a laser pointer?
Sorry?
Can you see that? Yeah, that pointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
Okay.
So you can see that if you look at this as a COVID vaccine particle, they have a spike protein that I mentioned earlier. So what the scientists did was they made a fake version of the mRNA that codes for the COVID spike protein, and then your cells, the patient's cells, they inject that mRNA into you, and then your cells will make that protein, and then your body will recognize it as something that's foreign. And like what we're seeing now on the news, they don't like that if you're foreign, so they will try to get rid of you, and therefore they'll make your immune system will make antibodies to attack these spike proteins whenever they see them. So if you get infected with COVID again, your body will know that that's a bad thing, and it will try to fight off as hard as it can to make you better. And that's like the excuse me for a minute. And that's the genius behind mRNA therapeutics. And we're even seeing these mRNA therapies to deal with other diseases and other ways of making this using this vaccine to treat similar diseases, and even to treat and cure genetic diseases such as cystic fibrosis. Or in theory, you could use this therapeutic, this drug, to treat things like diabetes. Diabetes is often caused by people who can't make their own insulin. So if you had a synthetic mRNA that made insulin and injected it in your body will make that, and then you can function as normal. So again, like I mentioned, there's genetic diseases such as cystic fibrosis and sickle cell anemia, and Huntington's is a really bad one. But like I said, there can be hereditary, but they can also be attributed to environmental factors. Sickle cell anemia actually first came about as a resistance to malaria. Patients who have sickle cell anemia are immune to malaria, and that's how they think that came about. And genetic diseases are caused by mutations, which are when, if you think of your genes as like a recipe, they're like a spelling mistake in that recipe. Instead of adding 500 grams of flour, it says add 1 kilo of flour. Your cake's not going to come out well. So a new technique, or something that's also got into a lot of the news, is a technology called CRISPR, or CRISPR-Cas9, which can use specially designed RNA to edit the DNA. So this is something that we got from bacteria. We found it in microbes, and like if you've heard of E. coli and things like that, they're like bacteria, and they have their own version of immune system. And scientists, they managed to analyze and look at how they do, their immune system works. And they found that bacteria, when they have an infection, like a virus coming, they can find that virus's DNA and delete it by making like a homing beacon. So if you can think of it as sort of like when you're on a Word document, if you press Control F, you can put find word. And in the same way, this guide RNA acts as that. So if you can think of if you think of your DNA as a Word document, this guide RNA is like pressing Control F, and then the Cas9 protein can cut the DNA and get rid of it. And that's sort of like, correcting a spelling mistake. So if you can think of it, this technology can be used to treat various genetic diseases. Some diseases are very easily cured by this, but there are numerous challenges that we need to address before we can roll this out as a common medicine. So again, the impact of this RNA therapies they're becoming more and more famous now. So in 2023, the Nobel Prize was awarded for the development of mRNA vaccines. And CRISPR has been used earlier this year to treat a child with rare genetic diseases. This is something that has never been done before. And there's been a scientist in China who used it on an unborn baby to cure that baby of HIV. And if you can even use it for like personalized medicine, such as anti-cancer. If you have cancer, a lot of people's different cancers work differently, and there's different symptoms and there's different causes. So you can customize the medicine and the drug to fit the patient. So there's much less problems that can happen along the way. But there are a few challenges that need to be rectified before we get to that stage. And some of these challenges can be trying to find a proper way of delivering the drug. So not everyone would like injections, even though that's the best way to give medicine. Not everyone would like it to have an injection. So now people are looking into making it into tablets. But the thing is, some drugs aren't able to be stored in tablets just yet. And there are people on my PhD program who are working on how to develop those drug delivery platforms. And also mRNA is it's quite unstable, meaning it doesn't last a long time in the body. So you have to keep taking more of it. You have to keep taking lots of it, which can have its own side effects. But people are now working on research to fix that. I've got a friend in my lab who is now working on a very good way of increasing the stability. Part of my own project is to do with that as well, and hopefully maybe like at the end of my PhD I'll come up with some novel ways of overcoming that hurdle. And also, like with COVID, if your body can't identify it as its own, it'll treat it as foreign and would like to destroy it. So that has its own problems as well. But in addition to these scientific hurdles, there's lots of social issues that arise, especially with the COVID pandemic. There's been a big upsurge in people who don't trust vaccines, and we call them anti-vaxxers. So, and there's a lot of misinformation that's been happening as well, which I'd be happy to answer as well. So the big one is people don't trust the government with something like with a vaccine rollout, and people believe in my body, my choice. There's been a lot of people who believe that mRNA will change your DNA and then change who you are, which is simply false. And there's been a lot of misinformation in the last few years, and a lot of mistrust in our public health agencies. With the way that most countries did their vaccine rollout and their COVID response, you can see from the UK and from the US, they were very slow in responding, and millions of people died as a result. So there's a lot of mistrust in public health agencies. And now more recently, with the rise of the far right and also the rise of Donald Trump in the last few years, his own government have been doing things to limit scientific funding. RFK Jr. has now cancelled $500 million in research into these types of vaccines, believing that they're not effective, whereas all the medicine in the last few years have been shown that these are very effective and they need more trust and they need more funding. And he instead believes that paracetamol is now causing autism and all these other things that are ruining science for the public. And so we have to, as a community, we need to start addressing these problems and also rectifying these people and making sure that there is more faith in science along the way. And again, to just talk about my project a little bit, my PhD project revolves around looking at how these mRNAs and stuff are controlled when you have an infection. So when you have an immune response, certain cells activate, and I'm looking at what happens, what mRNAs are being targeted that can cause that, and how are they controlled and what's controlling them. And that will involve using like mouse immune cells, as you can see here, which I can then add to activate to their immune response. And this is my lab on the right, which is my supervisor in the back. And yeah, so my PhD project, for an example of my experiment, I would add like an mRNA therapeutic to reduce a gene, and then I'll activate the cell's immune response, and then I'll read how much their genes are expressed by something called qPCR, and you can see on the left that the addition of a certain drug reduced this mRNA by 50%. So this is just a little insight into what my project is. And come to the end of my talk, and there's some questions that I'll leave you to consider. What is the next step for these sort of therapies? There'll be long-term treatments for genetic diseases. We could see certain genetic diseases cured in our lifetime. And also for regenerative medicine, some people, especially as they get older, they lose the ability to make certain things, and like even like people who are too old to have children, we could make medicine so that they can have children at an older age, and they can even certain lost things can be made again. But the other thing that people are worried about is something called designer babies. If we can edit DNA, what's stopping someone from, instead of just changing that my child has a genetic disease, what if I can change my child's eye color or hair color, or what if I can make them taller or smaller? And how far is too far? Thank you for listening to my talk. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to.
Thank you, Mr. Sabesan and Anadavijayan, for your nice talk. It's a fascinating subject. To grasp it is sometimes beyond our limits, I suppose. So let us show appreciation by applauding for a few seconds, all of us. Before I open to the floor, I want to ask, just to clarify, which is, I'll ask a simpler one, which is, I suppose some of us are already aware of it. You see, the virus is sometimes argued it's not a living organism because it is made up of RNA. Am I right, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it does is, as you pointed out, the RNA is a transcript. So we can say what this virus does is, you can't say it's an imposter. In Tamil, there's a concept called, your soul enters a dead body and act. So kudu to kudu virus. So maybe the viruses are doing it. So in other words, the virus can't exist on their own. They have to get into a living cell and then fool it and fool it to make more of it. Well, that is straightforward. But my question is, if you just explain, because I have forgotten my, I entered in medical school more than 50 years ago. DNA and RNA, they are all chains of nucleotide, they call it, isn't it? It's like, another example is like amino acid chains are called protein, and then carbohydrate chains are, like starch. So they're called nucleic acid. Remind me why the word acid came into it.
So an acid, if you want to get technical, an acid is something that is something that has a charge of a certain kind. I believe it has a negative charge or something like that. So DNA and RNAs, they have an electrical charge, which in science, we can manipulate. So, and there are certain tags on them that classify them as an acid. There's in chemistry, there's a whole, as you may know, there's a whole system of labeling and classifying things. And under those classifications, nucleic acids are acids.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to clarify because it's like any other chains, isn't it? Like proteins.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, first of all, we are going to, Dr. Saras Sivaloganathan has raised her hand. So,
thank you, Sabesan, for your interesting lecture. And I'm glad that you have chosen something that is very interesting. And I hope you can come out with some answer so that people will benefit from your research and your PhD. I mean, yes, side effects like for example, when we had the COVID vaccine, although many thousands were saved, especially some young people died of clots and things. That's why people lose their faith. Of course, there are side effects in every medication, some side effects we may have to tolerate. I'm just highlighting why people may lose their trust, mainly because of the side effects. And sometimes they misunderstand. And yeah.
I agree. I think especially with the vaccine rollout, with how it was done, at least in the UK and actually worldwide, there were a lot of, I do agree that I think the vaccines that were rolled out, if you think of the urgency of the situation, there are so many people dying. These companies and these scientists, they had to make a drug that worked. Unfortunately, yeah, there were side effects that caused people to die, but the urgency meant they couldn't put the time. Imagine what they could have done if they had more time to make the medicine. It is rather unfortunate that people ended up dying, but I think as time goes on, these things will become more and more efficient, and we have to keep funding this sort of research so that less people will die as a result of this side effects. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Next will be Dr. Navaratnam.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, congratulations to Sabesan. A very complicated scientific subject. I'm a rheumatologist, so I understood a bit. And for this forum, you tried to make it understandable, I could say, because you were giving examples and translating the science into practical things. What I thought was the jnanis, the human beings have attained a level of spiritual excellence, were able to do this transformation without scientific influence. I don't know whether you can explain how they can change their DNA, RNA by serious meditation. Thank you.
Well, so the study of genetics is a massive field. It's only been less than 100 years since DNA was discovered, but the field itself is massive. And in my talk, I simplified things, but there are certain other factors that play a role. I mentioned environmental factors play a role. So there's another study in genetics, a sub group class called epigenetics. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yes.
Yeah, so epigenetics is the study of essentially environmental factors on DNA and genes and everything. So where are you calling from? Are you from
London, UK?
Oh, from the UK.
Essex.
Oh, okay. If anyone is working in Australia, I spoke with someone who did with a GP who worked in Queensland, up north in Australia.
Yes.
And he told me that he works with Aboriginal patients, and he's been doing studies with these Aboriginal patients. And as you may know, as the Australians may know, that as Aboriginals, they have a lot of troubles with alcoholism and drugs and things like that. And he had a theory, and which something that is becoming more and more famous, is becoming more and more widespread, is that these Aboriginals, their ancestors had a lot of hardship. When the British came and colonized Australia, they oppressed and invaded and put many Aboriginals to death. And there's this concept of that trauma, that mental health trauma, had an effect on their genes, which made them more likely to develop things like alcoholism down the line. It's called post-generational trauma. And in the same way that you said that, how may meditation help edit DNA or genes, it's likely the reverse is true, that by having a calm state of mind, you can have a positive effect on the genes that you express. And so by that could be passed on to your children, and that would be advantageous. So through meditation alone, like by reducing this sort of trauma, you might have a positive effect on your DNA.
Yeah, I agree with that, some of that. But what these jnanis, the so-called enlightened ones, do, they seem to be able to control the environment, control their body, and control everything they want to. They call Ashtama Siddhi, that is 8 siddhis they were able to do. And obviously they are possibly able to change their genome.
I suppose someone would have to do a study on them to find out more, but I don't know if they would like their samples taken. But it's something to think about, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shall we let Vardashan,
Yeah.
Dr. Parameswaran? Yeah. Okay, Vardashan, you can speak now.
Greetings to all. Greetings to Sabesan. Thank you very much, Sabesan, for having enlightened people like me. I'm a non-scientist, but still, I've heard of DNA, not RNA. You have explained briefly what these are and led us through this difficult topic in such a simple way with examples. Thank you very much. And I was interested in one of those things that DNA controls the eye color and folding up tongue. I can do it, but many can't do it in my family. So how does that work?
So if you think of it as, so in genetics, there's a whole other study of what genes are inherited over something else. So we call that dominant traits and recessive traits.
Yeah.
So for example, someone with a dominant trait, if you have 2 copies of a gene, one from your mother, one from your father, you to make that gene activate, if it's something what we call a dominant gene, you only need one of it. So if for example, if a family had the father had blonde hair, the mother had dark hair, like black hair, the child will have black hair. And that's because the black hair gene is more dominant than the blonde hair. But if the mother had a blonde hair gene and the father also had a blonde hair gene, then the child will have blonde hair. And the same is with eye color. It's obviously more complicated than that, but that's simplified. But there's a whole thing called, if you want to do more reading on the subject, look up Punnett squares. Punnett squares. That's the way that people describe it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next would be Dr. Shanti Parameswaran.
Welcome to everyone. Thank you very much, Sabesan. It was a very interesting talk. And you took us to our medical days when talked about when RNA and DNA came along. I now been practicing psychiatry for a very long time and retired. I think I'm but a very bad diabetic. So I'm looking forward for that synthetic mRNA that will produce some insulin into my body so that I don't need to take an injection, I don't need to take tablets, and I can eat anything and everything that I like. And that is the day I'm looking forward with this research that you are doing.
Yeah,
but
me too.
Having done, being now in the spiritual angle, I think you did cover that for us. I feel in a way, I may be wrong, all this work is to be applauded. And it is only in 1953, it's not long ago when this all thing came to the forefront. But sad to me, I feel, are we artificially going to prolong life by this method? I'm saying it does make it better for people to live comfortably. That, as I said, I don't need to take insulin injection. I don't need to take tablets. It will make me comfortable. But in a way, are we playing God in God, in inverted commas? And that prolonging life is something that I'm just wondering. To be able to comfort people, yes, I think important. I did work for many, many years during the troubled times in Sri Lanka and elsewhere, where, as you said, people did suffer stress. And now I think, having listened to you, the post-traumatic stress disorders and everything, what is passed on to the generations now, and how our generations over there are becoming addicted to alcohol and suicide. I think listening to your talk, I'm wondering whether there is a change of this DNA and RNA in their bodies that have made this possible and carrying on. So I think you did talk about the work that is going on in Australia with Aborigines. I think suddenly I felt, are we making them guinea pigs? Sorry, I'm just my thought that came to mind.
No,
but very interesting. But let me finish. It was a very good talk. Really, I appreciated it, and your time and your slides were wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. To address your point on guinea pigs, I think Aboriginals are a very extreme example. They're quite an isolated population with a very strong genetic, there's not a lot of intermixing with other groups either. So they're very, I guess, suppose pure, which makes them very good for study. But you can also look in this, the same studies could also be and should be done in other groups as well. In, again, as you said, like the Sri Lankan Tamils in Jaffna, and also the Sri Lankan Tamils who have emigrated to other countries. If you looked at mine, if you wanted to compare my DNA to my parents, will there be a difference? And will anything through this trauma be passed down? And also, if you look down future generations as well. But also, it's not just like things like trauma, but also things like, as you said, alcoholism. If you look in the UK, alcoholism is becoming more and more of a problem. If you look in Ireland, alcoholism has been a problem. And a lot of these can be attributed to why are people drinking more? Why are people falling into alcoholism? It's also their own mental health, and also the way that the economy and the governments are running these countries. The West is slowly starting to feed these sort of behaviors, which is causing these problems more. So it's also not just genetic, but we shouldn't ignore the social issues that are also arising as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that interesting talk, and really made me reflect, and you have stirred up things in my mind as well. Thank you, and I think people appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Sorry.
Thank you. Next would be Arundhati Suskandaraja.
Greetings to all. Thank you very much, Sabesan. Excellent talk. I have few questions. I want to know about, there are injection that has been given when you are small and it lasting so long. But when you come to this now, what you call virus that they are giving COVID. So they are giving COVID, even though you take the COVID, you are getting a COVID, even though you had your injection. Plus, you have given injection in April, and again they are calling us in October. So what's the point? You are having this injection within 6 months, you are getting 2 injection for COVID.
When you are ill, your doctor prescribes you antibiotics. They tell you to take it for the full course, not just when it goes away. In the same manner, making sure that you have the full dose, it gives the body the security and yourself the security it needs. Yeah, you can be fine with one. If you take your antibiotics just for one day, you'll be fine. But for that extra security, to be sure, you have to keep taking the medicine. In the same way, that's how vaccines work. You have to take it more than once for it to be properly effective. And also they, again, like I said, if you can't, you have to the first one should be enough, but you have to make sure. So what if the first time it didn't work properly? You don't know that unless they did a full study on you. So to be sure, they have to do it again.
Okay. And you were talking about paracetamol and autism.
Yeah.
What is that? Can you please brief a bit more?
So this is actually misinformation. It's fake news. So in the last month, Donald Trump, the US president, he said that Tylenol or paracetamol causes autism in babies.
Okay.
However, studies have shown that this is untrue. And as we know, Donald Trump isn't always has the facts, but this is an example of how certain political figures and certain people in the world can stir misinformation and stir up trouble. So I'd like to say that paracetamol does not cause autism in unborn babies, but there are people in the world and it's a big struggle right now in science to filter out those people who speak loudly but are wrong.
Okay, thank you very much. It's an excellent speech, and we are very proud of you to see that in a young age you have become this much. You have given us so many information regarding this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm afraid we have to be very brief with comments or questions because of we have some other announcement to make at 9:30. Anyway, Panjacharam, yeah, you can.
Greeting to everybody. Thank you, Sabesan. You have given us what you have done in your studies. It's very, very excellent subject today. What is DNA, what is genetic, what is chromosome, all this RNA, everything is going on. I wanted to know whether this can be done in seeds. Here some agricultural people, they do the same research and trying to modify mangoes and some seeds and trying to change different production. So that is one. Other one, you have been talking about Aborigines. They have been giving many things for them to die, but however they survived. And now for the youngsters, the Aboriginal youngsters, they are giving education. After studies, all the young boys of Aborigines, they say, we will not follow you. What government says, they will not follow. We will not do work. They say they will not do work because they are against to them. They know, they understood that they were trying to kill before their generation. So the young boys and girls, they are in a different attitude. Even after the English education, they are in a different attitude. Many people knows they are from Indian subcontinent. They came from that area, and we invite them. I am from Sydney. We invite them for a talk and things like that. they talk, they know that some connection they have between Tamils and Aborigines. Some people, they say some names, common names, but however, they are not changing. Even the youngsters also not changing. The old people, they listen, but they will not do anything. They will do what they wanted. So it's very peculiar, but they have done something in their brain. I don't know. So can you tell me finally about the seeds, mango seeds and seeds? Here they are changing, trying to change and try to find new mangoes and new things.
So, to address your first question about agriculture and genes and everything. So, I think the first ever, I'd like to say the first ever gene editing or genetic research was in plants and crops like this. For millions of years, humans have been growing rice. But then they thought, how do we make the rice grow faster? So they breed faster growing rice with this rice. And then, we need to make more of this specific quality in the rice. So then they breed this rice with this rice. Through this selective breeding, that we can call that genetic editing as well, just it happens much more slowly. And now with science and all this research into DNA, what could be done in decades is now being done in weeks. So now people are working on making these seeds smaller so you have more fruit. Or one example of gene edited crops is golden rice, which has more vitamin D or vitamin A, vitamin D, so that it's better, for more nutritious for people. So that's an example of gene editing in plants. And now with this technology, things are happening much, much faster. And to address your point about Aboriginals and youth not working for the government or being antisocial, I would say that's more of an age-related problem than a genetic or a social problem. I think when we were young, we all knew people from different ethnic backgrounds, even people in Sri Lanka you may know who didn't want to work back. Like, I think it's not a problem just to do with the Aboriginals or their genetics, but to do with just youth in general. I think we all know people like that, at which point you have to address the social issues. In Sri Lanka, it was the lack of education in the Sinhalese, which led to the Sinhala Only Act, which led to all the troubles that started. And similarly, there may be issues in Aboriginals with the lack of trust in the government, which is then causing these. And some of these people don't have father figures or mother figures in their life to direct them either. So there's a multitude of issues that could happen in this specific thing. And it's not just a genetic issue, but a social one.
Thank you. Kumar Samapulaya is eagerly waiting to do the translation. Shall we?
I think can give it to him. I think.
Because time
anyway, just 1 minute. 1 minute. Anyway, Sabesan Anadavijayan is a good speaker, very good, very informative speech. Very good. But where's your father and mother are missing here? They didn't come today, is it?
I think my father came.
Oh. Anyway, it's okay. But it is also good news that scientists are now exploring RNA-based treatment for cancer, genetic disorders, and many other conditions. Is a good, very good news. Looking forward to having you speak to our forum again in a couple of months, if possible. Is it okay? You can come again,
Yeah, we can see, yeah.
I would like to ask one question before we leave. Okay, is it okay? Recently, Dr. Bruce Lipton, you might have heard about him. He had done extensive research on this controversial topic, and he wrote a book, Biology of Belief. Actually, I read that book so many times. Now, in that book, he has said that all these genetics can be modified by changing our lifestyle, diet, and by meditation. This one again, Joe Dispenza, another doctor has always said, is by meditating regularly, you can modify or change the genetics. So, what is your opinion about these researches? They are introduced epigenetic, I think I should mention. So,
Yes, that is the word, epigenetics. I would like to say something.
Yeah, no, I think epigenetics is another way of studying genetics. I think it's equally as important, the environmental factors and state of mind. We can talk about DNA therapies, but equally as important to medicine is also lifestyle choices as well. So like as long as if you live a good, healthy life, you'll have good, healthy results. So things like meditation will definitely have a positive effect on your genetics and your health.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Translation time
Yeah,
or
we have to go because there's another program is coming soon, so we have to
we'll skip it.
go for
He's going to
translation.
summarize his speech in Tamil language. Thank you.
I'll quickly summarize his speech because I think everybody has understood, but still I'll add some more point. முதலாவது இன்றைக்கு வந்து செபேசன் அவர்கள் வந்து ரிபோர் என்ற அடிப்படைகளும் மருந்தியலும் என்ற தலைப்பில் பல கருத்துக்களை பகிர்ந்து கொண்டார்கள். உங்களுக்கு எல்லோருக்கும் தெரியும், முதலாவது டிஎன்ஏ என்ற என்ன மரபணு என்பதை பற்றி சொல்லி அது இவர்கள் ஒவ்வொரு மனிதனிடத்தில் 25,000 மரபணுக்கள் இருக்கு என்பது. மற்ற இது வந்து என்ன மாதிரி என்றால் ஒரு நூலகம் மாதிரி. இந்த நூலகத்தினால் இப்போ எல்லா விதமான மாற்றங்களும் ஏற்படுகின்றது. இப்போ பொதுவாக நாங்கள் மரபணை பற்றி சொல்கிறோம். பிறவியிலே நாங்கள் பல இதில் முன்னோர்களை விழுந்திருக்கின்றோம். அது மட்டும் இல்லை, வாழ்க்கை மாற்றம், உதாரணமாக உணவு, மது அருந்துதல், மற்றது அப்படியான இதனாலும் மரபணுக்கள் மாறலாம் என்பதை தெரிகிறார்கள். இப்போ இதுக்கெல்லாம் மூல காரணம் இருக்கிறது. அடுத்ததாக முக்கியமாக COVID-19 வந்து என்ன நடந்தது என்றும் அது என்ன மாதிரி இந்த ஆய்வுகள் மூலம் இந்த ஒவ்வொரு உயிரணுவிலையும் வந்து இந்த உயிர் கொல்லிகள் வந்து இருந்ததாக நச்சுயிரிகள் என்று சொல்வார்கள். இந்த நச்சு உயிர்களுக்கு எதிராகத்தான் இந்த மருந்துகளை கண்டுபிடித்தார்கள். இது வந்து தடுப்பூசி மருந்து வந்ததால் பலர் உயிர் காப்பாற்றப்பட்டிருக்கு. அதே நேரத்தில் இது வந்து பிரச்சனைக்குரிய விடயமாக மாறி இருக்கின்றது என்பதை எடுக்க வேண்டும். இந்த நோய் எதிர்ப்பு சக்தி வந்து பல வருத்தங்களுக்கும் காரணமாக இருக்கின்றது. இந்த RNA தான் இந்த DNA மாற்றுவதாக என்று சொல்லியிருக்கிறார்கள். மற்றது உடம்பிலே திடீர் மாற்றங்கள் ஏற்படுறத காரணங்கள் இப்படியான நச்சுயிரிகள் வருவதனால்தான். அதற்கு எதிராக தான் இந்த மருந்துகள் தான் போட்டிருக்கோம். இது வந்து இப்பொழுது வந்து இந்த RNA-யால் பல நன்மைகள் கிடைக்கின்றது. உதாரணமாக புற்றுநோயை மாற்றக்கூடியதாக இருக்கிறது. குழந்தைகள் வருகின்ற மரபணு மாற்றங்களை மாற்றக்கூடிய சக்தி ஆற்றல் இருக்கின்றது என்பதை கண்டுபிடித்திருக்கிறார்கள். இந்த வாய்ப்புக்கு அடுத்ததாக வந்து எப்பொழுதும் mRNA வேக்சின் வந்து தடுப்பூசிகள் இருப்பதால நீண்ட காலத்துக்கு இந்த குளறுபடிகளையும் இந்த வருத்தங்களை மாற்றக்கூடிய ஆற்றல் இது கொடுக்கும் என்று நம்பிக்கையுடன் என்னுடைய உரையை முடிக்கின்றேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
நன்றி. We can clap பண்ணுங்க.
Before I make the next announcement, we have another guest, Sujata Sriram Master. Do you also want to ask anything from the ongoing topic, or you haven't gotten?
I just one thing I would like to add. Ellarko vanakkam. I'm Sujata Sriram. Here, one more thing, like what Sir said, I want to say that science, we all know the DNA and all, but epigenetics is the real spiritual subject. And real example I have seen in my mother's life. My mother got one heart problem, and actually we started one holistic center in one rural area. From Visakhapatnam, it is 50 kilometers. And now she is taking care of that whenever I'm outside, and monthly 15 days she stays and she serves. And the doctor told actually she has a severe, some different health issue regarding heart. That is because of some genetical issue. But when I discussed with him this epigenetics, because that heart specialist is our family friend, he knows about what we are actually practicing. Then he said, 100% I support, and I read the articles. We will surely work on this. Now my mother is very healthy and she takes care of the center at the age of 72, completely, all the responsibilities. And here I would like to add one thing. DNA, all the spiritual science is different from materialistic science. But beyond science, we all know there is something that is called, actually scientific way, we call epigenetics. Sir rightly said, you are the placebo and biology of beliefs. If you read, all of you, if you read, we usually limit ourselves with age and all the health diseases. And my father always used to tell me one thing, heart problem, he has diabetic. So Kanna, you be careful. But now at the age of 55, never ever I get a chance to visit any doctor. I always immerse in my work and I'm very healthy, very happy, very energetic. So age is not a factor and science is really good. But the boy who has Anadavijayan, I think his name, I would like to ask him to say one thing, add meditation to that, then he can see the real research in it. So thank you so much. Actually, it's a wonderful topic. But for that, actually, as Patri sir said, anything with meditation is miraculous. So this is what epigenetics is, a very, very interesting topic. And when meditation we do, there are so many case studies. You are the placebo book, if you go through, or biology of beliefs, we will come across, and in our life also we can experiment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sabesan, you want to say anything? Sabesan?
No, other than I agree with Sridhar Sriram. Yeah.
Dr. Navarishnan, can you very briefly finish it before, say it before?
Yeah, the next program is here. Okay, thank you.
And contribute to clarify some things. And the epigenetics has come in, as I said before, the deep meditation. With deep meditation, jnanis are able to achieve some changes. The other thing about growing plants, in fact, in 1966, I was in Jaffna, they used to do genetic testing and grow better rice in Klingauchi. The other thing about this is, again, when you join a better type of mango stem to an existing mango, the new mango tree bears better fruits. So there's another modification of genetics, which is practiced in countries like Jaffna as well. I know that in Jaffna, they are now producing small mango trees growing a lot of mangoes. Thank you. I hope it clarifies things.
I would like to add, viruses must be smart as jnanis, because without DNA, they are transforming themselves, isn't it? We all know DNA mutates and then transcription are faltered. But viruses are smarter. Anyway, we got Sujata Sriram Master from India, which is visiting UK in promotion of a forthcoming event, Residential Advanced Meditation Retreat in Glastonbury in November 28th to December 5th. And she is the director, senior.
And is the heart chakra of the planet Earth.
Yes.
Anyway, she will elaborate
heart chakra of planet Earth.
Yeah, she will elaborate it. She is a senior pyramid master, director of Chandrasekhara Mahaswamy Pyramid. We have got Padma as well. Do you want
Padma Krishnan is here. GKS.
First, we thank and can we, because Sabesan is.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Sabesan, thank you so much for your excellent speech. So we would like to see you again. Thank you, because we are going for the next program. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Padma Krishnan, do you want to introduce a bit more?
No.
Yes, sir. Namaste. Namaste to everyone. Hope you remember me. Very long back we met all together. So briefly, sir gave, thank you so much for Srikant Rajan sir. In this busy schedule, he accommodated 10 minutes for us. So sir already introduced Sujata Sriram. Here, Buddha CEO Foundation is the organization. Few days back, we organized, I think 1 year back, we organized a 2 days retreat. But this year, November 28th, we are organizing the retreat. This foundation, they done a lot of programs, advanced meditation retreat to go into the deeper levels of meditation. So regarding that, Sujata, because I will be here available, we will listen through Sujata Sriram. Please, Sujata, can you please what is your experience and how it is helpful for people if they join in the retreat? Can you please explain?
Sure. I